rebars and concrete, those kind of things. Carbon emissions are very heavy in London itself, and of course you have you have coal mine thing in Vauxhall, which means southern part, and is not very far from one of the wealthiest towns called Chelsea or Knightsbridge and Westminster. So basically that's the problem. And in 2022, EVs, electric vehicles, and some of the environmental friendly vehicles were in London could increase, but then if you compare to the increasement rate, increase rate by Seattle or the west side of U.S. and London in 2022, it was a little slower. That means wasn't so steep because of the electricity price problem and so on. And so we find opportunities too. So network of private cars and how we can share this and reuse of the old EV batteries were the problem, and is the problem still on. And so micromobility is called, like one of those PM thing, personal mobility, micromobility things. But those are the minor ones, so I will just skip. But have some incentive schemes. But yeah, next slide, please. So first model that we suggested is using EVs as a contributors to greener microgrids, meaning bidirectional changes, meaning not unilateral, not one-way, two-way charging, sorry. So car to grid, simple, like Korea. We're doing it in Korea too. Ministry of Environment Ministry of Korea has made this hardware system and software called Chebi. So this is basically the same thing. So solar panel using the other alternatives, reusable energies, and then making more EPC greater so that you can charge the cars. And then of course, retired batteries goes energy storage again in your home, and so that you can at least support some of the home allowance, appliances and so on. So car to car means basically literally, London is pushing this scheme very hard and fast. So buses has been changed to electric EVs even like 4 to 5 years ago before, and I think more than that. Yeah. So they're quite in advance, and so these kind of batteries are relatively huge, and the storage is big, so you can alternatively transfer it to very small vehicles, like very, very small vehicles. You can't even imagine that, but into household too. Next, please. So I think we can skip this small thing. Yeah. So second transport model is quite important that our research team found. Lahti is a city located in the southern part of Finland in Europe, very north. So they had this interesting model called personal carbon trading app. So nowadays, carbon credits and like those carbon economy has been utilized a lot compared to like before. But at that time, we found that this was a pretty exemplary model. So we brought this. So basically, how they do is simple. So if you use micromobility for a certain time, then but considering the fact that population of Lahti is less than like 200,000, so you can directly make a comparison to London or other big cities, mega cities. But so people who use small personal mobility or micromobility, they can either donate or they can sell in a really small money. They change to carbon allowances. So basically, it's like a point, and then you sell and buy. So basic trade within the city, people in the city. So small components make bigger results. So this was a quite good example, acting in reality. Next, please. Yeah, we'll skip the assessment part. It's boring. And building. So A1, 2 was these were about transportation system, but buildings, as I said, is of course the main thing also. So if you look at the London situation, the first box of that, reduce energy consumption, working to improve energy efficiency, and then of course Mayor of London is making this fund called MEEF, but has not even been promoted so far. But I mean, this is a little bit different from carbon funds, but MEEF fund is like very focused on EPC rather than like carbon itself. So it doesn't include, like operation carbon, only like, not OC, but then only like, active carbon itself. But opportunities were, because at that time was the initial time that we kicked off, so, bringing back to the status quo, no incentives or sanctions to reduce energy consumption on a regular basis. That was our opportunity if we use this system in the building, because you have basically two important assessment standard called BREEAM and READ and BREEAM, but to assess how the building is well equipped with the carbon emissions and carbon trading system. So, and the second opportunities we found was lack of financial support for low-income households, because low-income households tend to use high efficiency, relatively higher efficiency energy, means electricity you bought from. So energy trading system is slightly different from Korea. So you have like, because these are privatized in the 80s, so these people use higher efficiency ones, so obviously making more GHG emissions. It's proven fact. And secondly, incentivizing retrofitting landlords means households must obtain EPC. We call it EPC, energy performance certificate, for buildings for sale or rent. This is a must thing. So this is regulatory thing, obligatory thing. So must be EPC rating above E, ABC. E is like a very normal one that in 2023. But anyways, financial fine means 벌금. For those who don't have EPC, you can't even sell your house. I mean, you could, but then you have to get a lot of fines. So that was problems, retrofitting. So no obligation for all property to reach an EPC level. Honestly, because most of the house in London or metropolitan area are semi-detached or just something like apartment. We call it flats, but anyways. So no incentives to improve EPC. So that was the opportunity. Next, please.
I think you don't have to.
Yeah.
Detail.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. So we're heading to the end. Regulation on low EPC. So okay, I'll have to say this. So if you look at the blue box, regulation on low EPC means cap on the rent increase. So basically, EPC is like a standard to raise to start the fundraising and then utilize it. So money versus carbon, okay, and support low income retrofitting thing and invest on. Thank you. Renewable energies and all these. If you, we have done calculation through computer because we have three very professional mathematicians. But anyways, rate multiplied by consumption, and yearly or annually. Of course, this has been proven that making this kind of energy decarbonization, energy infrastructure does work in reality. Next, please.
Please.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, calculations.
I'm sorry. Okay.
You don't have to
Yeah.
do that.
Oh, sure. We'll skip it through. And Westminster, can you go up to 12, page 12, and I'll end it, okay? So carbon, reduction calculation. This is how we calculate it, and then how we, allocate it by percentage through data. So basically, if you do all this good thing to transport a building, improving infrastructure, then you can. Its ton amount is 11, kilotons in a year. So divided by total carbon emission and transport in London, so roughly about 4.87% of advantages you will get, and that will be of course changed to money too. So upon 14, please. Next, please. Thank you. Upon 3 implementation structure, I would have to say number 2 is the best, but number 1. What you see now is basically government driven. So this is very like Korean model. So you have private companies and then boroughs, counties, 구청, 시군구, and then 정부, like that. So you're doing all this. Korea is doing that, so I will skip it. And number 2, second Yes, please. Thank you.
What's borough?
Borough means county.
County.
시군구. 예. 기초자치단체.
English is
Yeah. I mean that's very British English, so even American people don't.
Chicago.
Borough, yeah, Borough of Westminster, County, Gangnam-gu, something like that. Okay, so private company is getting a gift. That means exchange allowance. Then you have the margin. So of course, second one is more like economically, possible. So we're not going to talk about PCT or more. But then, if the point of two is that Borough is like the place where you live, Westminster, 뭐 용산, 마포, then people who are living in that area is getting highest advantages upon three implementation structures. So and then universities and other firms can be, can earn more money too by using and utilizing data, not selling. Yeah. And next to the conclusion, please. Next, please. Yeah. So basically, the whole point of research, I would have to make it really short and brief, but so transportation and building are the two key, things that making our, net zero harder, and then, giving incentives and money or points, any kind of monetary incentives is very important, and then that will eventually, help making more incentives to company and then to people, end users, and then inclusive support, of course, making positive difference to decarbonizations. But I think we have to talk more with Dr. Thank you. It's so hard to talk such a broad topic in like
You
within
don't
20 minutes. I'm sorry.
you don't need to people understand all your presentation.
Yeah, it's very
definitely.
academic.
Yeah,
So
I think it is not academic. I think it is.
it's not academic.
It is a kind of just showing off how much the government is clever or logical. Yes. Yeah, I don't believe I don't think people can understand all of these procedures
Yeah.
and business models.
Yeah. That
Very
would-
complicated.
I mean, very number driven and of course proven, track. So, yeah, true.
Right, thank you for your kind and updated presentation, research presentation. Yeah.
Apologies if it weren't, abundant, but
I think we have to more, right one.
yeah, fun talk.
To talk
Yeah,
about
exactly.
the Asian cities.
Please.
Because there are a lot of things, like the garbages and
Landfills
transportations
at least,
and
yeah.
the artistic big skyscrapers and something
True,
like
true,
that.
true.
But I think this is a new business model to-
That we researched very hard.
to satisfy all participants in the cities and running.
True.
So the government planning all the benefits to share to all participants.
True.
So very complicated.
Yeah, it's just an epitome of everything
Yeah.
if you look in the city as a decarbonization perspective. So
Okay.
there's a limitation, as you say, I agree. Yeah.
And so anyway,
Yeah.
the first question I got from your presentation is
Uh-huh.
the European model.
Right.
The public transportation is necessary to reduce carbon,
True.
and also America is not popular. It's the public transportation. So only Europe and Japan is the role model we can research to introduce this system. So Europe I think is the first area. First, we have to consider the region because they are the decarbonized
Flag bearers.
Yeah.
But
what is called? Yeah.
flag bearers.
Yeah. Flag.
Bear.
Bear.
But London, UK is slightly different. They're more into pro-American. So, anyways,
Anyways, yeah, it's a
geologically,
continent.
yes. Yeah,
Continent model.
Yeah, true.
It's especially the Deutschland.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
True.
they are forerunners.
Yeah.
So
they are.
anyway, so yeah, so very amazing models.
I mean, Seoul is doing very good too. I mean, I just show something wiki, but something fancy presentation that we research in UCL. So that looks something fancy, but then Seoul is doing as well. I mean, as decent as.
Yes, the first
They're doing
image
something.
that I came from
Sure,
this
sure.
presentation is
Sure.
the Singaporean COE model.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they planning to reduce the individual car.
Sure.
So they introduced many public transportation to running their small territories.
Sure.
So COE
COE,
model
COE
is
model,
so how to persuade the people, and they persuade the people who want to run their own car. So based on the car's car size and the CC, they are adding more tax.
Yeah.
So COE model is very complicated for foreigners to understand that.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think it's very similar model.
Well, now unflinchingly, I could talk in a very easy way because we scrapped out of the presentation. True. I am very comfortable with COE model because I mean, I wouldn't say it has been verted from, but then has very a similar relationship with that of London. So TFL model of London even back in 70 years ago when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, he acquired his land through his ordinances through Malaysia, right? So basically, COE and so car itself. I mean, the way we looking at the car came from the history of Britain. So, for example, like 19th century, you had this carriage, right? And then you thought those, I mean, right parties or left parties, but anyways, people thought those things are one of their asset plus. Some people thought that a carriage and a car a asset. Some people thought as a way of transport.
Yes.
So the conflict, and then Singapore, as you said, is very similar to that of UK. So, but of course, the COE tax is so expensive that you can't even imagine. Even compared to 4 years ago, now it hits up to I think 80 to 10. Yeah, exactly. I mean, amazing, crazy price.
Of course, for 10 years.
Yeah, for 10 years. But there are only about 640 to 500 cars in Singapore. That's really few numbers, I think. And COE Texas price is so high. So the problem in Singapore is not the petroleum price. The average price is like 2 point something dollar, right? I mean you have octane differences, but then 2.6, 2.7. But people don't even care about that because the distance of travel is not that far.
Yes.
But COE price itself, as you said, for 10 years or weekend COE, nighttime COE are expensive. So it's not a fuzz. I mean, making people to feel afraid to get a car. So only, as you said, very high capacity or luxurious cars are getting sold more and more.
Yeah.
So Singapore is doing kind of similar model. Like we're going to talk about sharing economy in cars, but it's not on selection, but that's only the option they have been given in Singapore because. Come on, it's 4 to 5 times higher than in Korea.
5 times.
Yeah, 5 times higher to get a Hyundai in Elantra. That's like holding a Mercedes S-Class in Korea, right?
Yeah.
More than that. I think Rolls-Royce, not Rolls-Royce.
Sonata is almost $12,000.
Exactly. Oh, that's crazy price.
Korea is 4.
Exactly. You can get a 3 to 4 cars in one Elantra or Sonata.
So my feelings on the COE system is only possible in small cities because, as you mentioned,
True.
Singapore is very small.
Yeah.
So the people's requirement and usefulness is almost similar
Yeah.
between the downtown citizens and the rural citizens.
Right,
But
right.
compared to the big national cities such as the Korea, Japan. Korea is the Seoul and metropolitan, and the rural area is all different. But the government should have to set a simple rule.
True.
Yeah, based on car size or they pay the tax on the petroleum.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's very simple.
Yep.
So many rural people can use the very economic expenses.
True.
So only COE model is possible to small cities. So like this decarbonized model 1, 2 is very complicated. So it's only possible on the metropolitan, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Yeah. Not universal
no.
model.
not at all.
Yeah.
We call it congestion charge in London. So same as ERP. So COE, we don't have COE in London, but then ERP and congestion charge COE prices. So basically constraining and regulating the car expenses and usage is possible in those systems only, right? Yep.
So you think this European model can be possible in the Tokyo, Shanghai, and Seoul, like big city, as well as
Yep. In a limited way, yes.
limited way?
Yeah, very possible. I think like we had an incident, accident a couple of months ago in some part of Korea.
What
In
kind of-
like EV Mercedes get burned.
EV
But those
burned,
kind of things are very, subtle issues that, we're on the process to making better EVs, right? So basically this, I'm not saying like electric vehicles, good for, decarbonize. If you look at the long life span, some people argue that Tesla makes more. It makes more carbon than gas car. But let's make an assumption that EV is helpful in general way, less than 100,000 miles, which means 16만 kilo. In general, people ride 10 years. Okay, that's an assumption. We agree. Okay, then Seoul, Tokyo, or Shanghai, some of the huge metropolitans with, economic power, and then of course good railways and then subways and junctions, well infrastructure system, they can decarbonize faster than the other cities. That's so true.
Okay.
And Singapore could be a better example. I can explain though.
Okay. So you think it will be possible? My second question is,
Sure.
anyway, this is a transition period
Sure.
from the petroleum car to the electronic vehicle. So I wonder always that anyway the car vehicle industry moving to electronic car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
So we don't have to calculate the decarbonization, the reducing, something like that. We don't have to so in detail.
Well, its common denominator has been fixed or will be transformed, changed and fixed, then yes. But we think about the Earth and then, of course, carbon emission. Don't say nay to that, but it's important to calculate and with the numbers. Because I know not all, but
Yeah,
a lot
I know.
of people in Korea, they don't care about numbers.
Still 98% is the petroleum car. I know. Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, you have to ride EV cars because it's good for carbon, but we have to at least, really scrutinize it about the data. See if whether this is really a, advantage model for us. So calculating or at least considering all the, pros and cons. Let's take EVs and then push forward. That's what Korean government is doing too.
Yeah.
Giving subsidies, but we're decreasing it. But anyways, some kind of better, I'm not saying better, but then more reliable ones as of now.
So this model is still useful?
Of course. Do you not think?
How many years it can work in your calculation?
Oh, I mean, only
5 years?
transport thing.
Yeah, 10 years?
Can you ask me in detail, like how many will this decarbonization transport models will retain?
Yeah.
I think for more than 2 decades.
2 decades?
Once we get set up in the, so I'm not saying everybody will, of course, use EV cars,
Well, it will take
in
at
city
least
wise.
5 years to prepare there.
No, if you go to Seattle, if you travel major cities in America, nearly a lot of people, more than 40 to 50% of people riding Tesla.
Yeah.
And right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is, and our Korean companies, Hyundai, making really good EV cars too.
EV cars too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
EV cars their market share will increase, their portion will increase. So it's a little bit convoluted issue, but then, of course, getting to EV, more percentage.
So despite prevailing the EV cars, we also
Yeah.
pay our attention and endeavors to
Sure,
making
sure,
the
sure,
social sharing economy model.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
why Singapore is making a little bit hard drive. SG Blue, right? You're very familiar with that. So that could be a good model because maybe they could be prescient in the future, but I'm not sure at now. But maybe 2030. But a lot of people really assume that Singapore will be a world of EV. Because I know they're a little bit forceful thing because they're not fearful, but forceful because their car prices, COE is the key point, so expensive, so you can, of course, get a car easily, get a mid-sized sedan saloon easily. But then, of course, this is one of the way we can, I don't think try, but then, of course, plunge with the issues.
The reason questioning is, including me, so many people think like that. If I buy the EV car, I will contribute to the environmental and decarbonization process. So we don't need this complicating model.
I mean, for consumer-wise, yes, no. You think about how far you can travel and how, not fast, but how, well-powered and...
So only issue is
how
just the
useful
price
it
of
is.
electricity.
But don't you think, it's so hard to put those in the same line.
Yeah.
Like, what, 8
I saw.
8-cylinder supercar and EV. EV is faster, but it's cheaper. But
EV is not cheaper. EV car is price is very high.
Relatively,
so
yeah.
I just want
Yeah.
the government keep the price of the electricity lowering and lowering.
So they're cutting the subsidies. So we're getting confused too.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the issue. The
But-
price of the electricity is always the big burden because the EV car vehicles price is very high.
But you know
Seven-
why those taxation or price system has not been fixated?
Why?
This is my personal assumption, yeah?
Okay.
Because of the crude oil price.
Crude oil price is
Yeah, I mean, it fluctuates so
fluctuating.
much. And then so that even the government itself, transport ministry or unless Singapore, their economy is very strong, right? Their debt ratio is good. And of course, their resources is strong. Even they're doing their, advanced manufacturing. But other countries, they can't predict like, okay, 3 years from now on, can we really settle down this EV things and push forward? Even one of the representative car manufacturer called South Korea, they can't make this decision again. Subsidies getting lower and lower.
So you mean producing electricity is also
Is it predictable?
Yeah.
Has it been predictable?
unpredictable.
Very
and
difficult
also
thing, yeah.
produce a lot of carbon.
True.
Yeah. So we need some
Exactly.
social
That's a
compromising.
ferocious paradox between.
That is the
Exactly.
sharing economy. We can compromise.
But it's
Yeah.
slightly different, but true in a way, yes. But sharing economy, in order to accomplish or make a social consensus of sharing economy, you have to have, what do you think sharing is? It's the
Sharing-
opposite of owning it, right?
Yeah, owning.
Yeah, I mean, so what is capitalism?
Capitalism means the private owning.
Exactly. You're on your fixed asset, your car, but then is it okay to share your car for some time? We tried, right? Tata so car, but then it didn't work that well in Korea.
Okay.
But in Singapore, they're doing it because of the, there's, I mean, maybe their situation is just an example. Maybe they really want to usher it into this business and then get to be settled down, right? Because of, the government policy.
Yeah. So, do you have an EV car?
I mean, I used to drive, sorry, but now no. That's
No.
so preposterous. But now I'm driving 2 gas cars.
Okay, how many years have you
7
ever?
months.
7 months. Model name?
Something T. 3, basic one. Tesla 3.
Tesla Model 3.
Tesla Model 3, yeah.
Yeah, too
But-
small.
I was really comfortable with the size, but then I found it better because of the winter. I mean, seasonality is one of the reasons why. Winter in Korea is, and battery capacity, and then probably I worried a lot because I travel a lot, right? Busan, Daegu, yeah. So for me, like gas, okay, I
Charging
pay
issue?
more. I pay, yeah, charging issue plus like maintenance. You have to do everything through online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
recently, including these issues,
Yeah.
so many Korean consumers hesitated to buy new electronic vehicles.
Yeah, true. In general, yeah.
Many reasons, the price and the charging issues and the burning issues and safety.
True.
But and the more the car manufacturer companies produce the EV car,
Right.
definitely the more consumers definitely buying the
Not
EV car.
necessarily.
Not necessarily, but anyway,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time will solve the issues, all issues.
But I think people have to roll it out. That means people have to endure with this, supply and demand thing. But I think this is a slightly different thing. Because
So-
Hyundai Kia wants to sell more EV cars, but the end market, people actually look at the design and safety and many components, as you said. But I hope a manufacturer, unless they're very, poor quality, lousy quality, I hope no manufacturer be a scapegoat. It's a victim.
Scapegoat.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, those kind of issues not to be happen, because at least all these, manufacturers who try to decarbonize, I mean, I would say, or doing decarbonization city business, they have to make this fair competition in the same line. I mean, price is different. I mean, of course, BMW EV cars, gets, sells in a higher price. But I hope there's no scapegoat of a brand or, particular brand that, this is just bad thing, and then killing the competitor with a immoral way. Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
showed several sharing economy models.
In carbon and urbanization.
Yeah, because the metropolitan and downtown is very congested. The traffic jam is very high. and
Sure.
All EV cars cannot admit into the downtown.
No.
Yeah, so we have to balancing public transportations and the private cars and also the sharing something the writers
Sure.
vehicle. So do you think this sharing economy will solve most of our current transportation issues in metropolitan?
Well, in Korea or in
I mean, Korea is one of
because
the
it differs for
good model.
good model. I
and
mean,
also
if sharing economy and transport to decarbonize certain moving infrastructure or settle down infrastructure, then I think that there must be a huge progress, like metamorphosis, like huge change. So people's perception have to change, and the way how government impose taxation has to change. But then this is so slow. I mean, the progress is so slow.
yeah.
Of course, the market economy and demand is higher, and then
The models you just showed
yeah. The research, yeah.
complicate
Yeah,
because
yeah.
usually we are very familiar with the taxation model.
Yeah.
But in adding
Yeah.
the carbons going back, go back.
Oh, yeah.
So two transaction models
Transaction model, yeah.
intersect. So it gives us, oh my God, it is too difficult to understand.
So
So only
sorry.
taxation model is not
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it not
yeah.
not possible.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, the model was just the brink of
Brink
the
of-
whole transportation model to one of the suggestions to decarbonize. And I think there are tons of models like this. But then the model, the Latty one, the Finnish model, that you're doing. Do you think that's really possible in Korea? This huge metropolitan.
No,
No,
the-
me
because
neither.
the metropolitans we can divide several layers.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
I know
Korea.
what I mean.
So
Yeah.
I want more simpler model.
Simpler model.
model.
So for example, like
Yeah.
if you do this, then your advantages will be
Yeah,
calculated.
if you
into-
buy EV car and
Subsidies.
yeah.
right away, discount subsidies. But so basically, okay.
I know, subsidy
No.
models also.
This is true.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so what do you think is the major problem in terms of environmental way of the EV cars in the usage, the old batteries? I mean, I read a news, a German guy who wrote who drove for 10 years of Tesla S from very initial stage.
I know.
What?
1 million
1 million, and he
kilometers
reached
for
that.
10 years.
It's so crazy, guy. He changed the battery again. But then that's like a 1 in a million example, isn't it? I mean,
Consumes more carbon.
exactly. He's so fanatic about this car itself. I know
Yeah,
the car is
subsidy
such
model
a-
is very old.
Yeah, but this is
Very
very
old.
peculiar
Yeah.
case. I mean, nobody does that. So in a general assumption, I think old battery collection is very important. But I talk to so many experts on this people. But then they say old batteries are, problem child.
Okay.
Problem children. Like it's so hard to even recharge it, and then strapping this is so difficult. Even you can sell to other country, but then of course the taxation burden will be higher in the future. So of course this is the key point of the EVs, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. And in conclusions,
Yeah.
what is the iconic cities in Asia in terms of the decarbonizing endeavors and urban planning issues?
Like in the future.
Oh no, including the
Now?
present.
Oh, Singapore.
Singapore.
Singapore and Dubai. I mean, if you look at the further Middle East,
Dubai is very
Middle Eastern countries, Dubai.
well,
So what's the commonalities between Dubai and Singapore? I mean, I
Dubai is
wouldn't
very
say
rich city.
of course,
Yeah. So they can have
Rich.
many subsidies.
Affluent.
Yeah.
and what else? State
State
power
yeah,
is stronger
than.
than other countries, right? So even drone issues or some other EV issues, I mean, they don't really need to have EVs, right? They don't. Dubai doesn't do petrol. I mean, excavation business. They don't, but they only sell. But then you say Dubai oil, right? I mean, though Singapore too. I mean, those kind of small city countries, relatively small, but then strong empowered government, and then who can drive continuous transportation policy will get an advantage in terms of decarbonization, electrical, vehicles, definitely.
Yeah, I always
Vehicles, sorry.
urging that
Yeah.
Singapore and Dubai is not be our role model due to its
I wouldn't
size
say no,
and the
no.
national population.
But in
Yeah.
Asia, I mean, you have nothing. Korea is making our own way, but I think as again, UK, yeah. London is doing something, but then the rest part, no.
London
We
is-
have to get more subsidies because we're making huge gas and even SMRs, and we're doing a lot of tough business, so give more money to us. But people in London, of course, they say, we have to get in a comfortable environment, so cut taxes. We're the ones who pay tax like Seoul, right? Same situation like in Seoul.
Okay.
So UK, but then it's too far away.
Yeah.
Too far away.
Yeah, too far. And
Yeah.
Singapore and Dubai is not, I think it's not Asia. Yeah. Neutralize the metropolitan.
Ah.
Okay.
I mean, unless there's like a huge metamorphosis
So
changes.
Korean
It's not
metropolitans also considering many business models to reduce carbon.
Yeah.
It's
We're
right.
we're one of the advanced country in terms of the paper, and that actually it's happening. Yeah, Seoul Net Zero Plan 2040, 2050 is actually working.
They are the
But some
Seoul
criticize.
Seoul City. The officer, I mean government, Seoul City
Mayor of Seoul.
yeah, they are very serious about this. Very serious.
I can't. I don't. I mean, I'm indifferent to it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's-
but I mean, in
that's-
terms
sorry,
of
sorry.
policy, no. In terms of policy, they are.
Oh.
They are. And then they would if they could.
Oh yeah.
I mean, whoever takes the mayor position or transport minister. But then, as I said, constant. Yeah.
Because as a Seoul citizens, I cannot feel something the
Yeah.
city governments
Getting advantages of using EVs, right? But I think, okay, this is my personal opinion, but I think in UK or in America, people buy EVs because of their own not purely about own needs, but of course they compare to other, price of the car. But people who buy Yukons and GMC, they will buy Yukons and GMC. But people in the city, like Seattle, Chicago, LA, they buy EVs, right? But here, I mean, no matter how far, whichever city in Gyeonggi-do, it's not very far. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even Cheongju, Chungcheongdo, Daejeon, they're not far, huh? So you have to think,
Yeah.
lot of-
Anyway, the
Yeah.
decarbonizing system issues is in the Korean consumers is unfamiliar. Yeah,
Wow.
that is the big problem.
Sure.
The European peoples always, saying.
So
and,
I'd say greenwashed European carbon,
Yeah.
elitism.
so
But
green
this is
issue
very-
is very Europeanized.
the greenwashed,
yeah,
like
yeah.
green plus brainwashed. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of criticism about that. But back in 20 years ago, when Al Gore, you remember this guy, right?
No.
Who ran for presidential election? He talked about CO2 issues and GHG, but nobody even give a lend a ear
So
to
American people also forget it. Forgot it. Yeah.
I'm not a carbon guy, honestly. But then honestly, carbon issue is not like selection. It's a must thing. I
So
mean,
all
to at least to maintain maybe we can achieve net zero. Net zero is difficult, but then at least in terms of transport, and I said buildings were doing it. So basically, until refurbishment, we're trying to use better, materials, and then of course the way how we deconstruct it is getting way, advanced. And in terms of transport, I think it has to be continued too. Sorry for lack of knowledge again, but you're always asking me very difficult questions.
Okay, the time's gone.
Thank you.
And any your the last comments on this issue?
Yes, I think decarbonization is a very crucial issue in city, and this summer was very hot, and I think unpredictable things will happen a lot because the sea level is
Short.
a lot of things. So
Short.
plus at least
At least.
getting decarbonization in transport and building is a must.
Okay.
And the way is to getting incentives. You can't force people to get it without incentives. So we have to
Okay.
figure out our own. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind presentation and dialogue with me.
Thank you very
Today
much.
we have time with Kim Minsoo. He's an urban planning advisor in the several Korean cities, and he is now the Asian Vision Forum's city metropolitans advisor also. Yeah. So we have every Monday we have to talk in English about Asia city,
Yeah.
metropolitans, updated new issues,
Yep.
including the infrastructure
Thank you.
and also then buildings and city planning, something like that.
Sure.
So thank you for coming, and also
Thanks for
hope
having
to
me.
see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
work harder. Thank you.
Thank you. 감사합니다, 선생님.
감사합니다.
예.